We are roughly 6 months away from having the official US Men's National Team 2026 World Cup roster. And one can argue that it's probably going to be the most important roster in US Men's National Team history. Yes, even more than the 1994 World Cup roster. So who will get snubbed? Will there be any surprise inclusions? We now have a lot of data on Mauricio Pochettino, so we might be able to accurately predict what he will do and who he will bring in the 2026 World Cup. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to today's episode where we will try to predict the US Men's National Team 2026 World Cup roster. We've done this video a few times here and there, but the more data we have, the more accurate the predictions get. I'm probably not going to do a video like this till April of 2026, which is roughly 1 month prior to the official roster. So let's see how accurate this one will be. But before we start, I want to say that I don't think we're going to see any player in the World Cup that has not been called up so far. So I'm going to focus on that. Players that Pochettino has called in for the US Men's National Team, even if they only played one game or no games. And the March roster, which will be the last one prior to the official World Cup one, will essentially be the World Cup roster minus maybe 1 or 2 guys. And for the sake of this video, we're going to go with a 26-man roster for the World Cup because that's what they had for the 2022 World Cup. Now, there are rumors that they might expand the roster to 30. I don't see why that is necessary for a cup that's like 8 games if you make it all the way to the final. 26 should be enough. They might expand it to 30, and if they do expand it to 30, I would be okay with Pochettino bringing like 1 or 2 prospects that might not even play, like a Diego Cochin, Mathis Albert, Kevin Sullivan, just to gain experience, because to me, over 26, it just seems unnecessary. Now, I want you to give me one big name that you think will miss out on the World Cup for the US Men's National Team, and one Usmnt player, one American player, that is not expected to make the roster right now, but likely will. And make sure to drop a like in this video right now if you haven't already. It takes 1 second and it's a great way to support the channel for free, so drop a like right now. And this video is brought to you by SeatGeek, but more on that later. Let's roll the episode. Okay, let's start with the goalkeepers. And for multiple camps, Mauricio Pochettino has brought in 4 goalkeepers. And I think that's due to the fact that he is testing them all. He doesn't really know, or maybe now he does, but he didn't really know who to bring in. But for the World Cup, I think he's only going to bring in 3 goalkeepers. And here are the goalies that he has called up so far. Matt Freese, Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, Patrick Schulte, Jonathan Klinsmann that plays in the 2nd Division of Italy, Chris Brady from the Chicago Fire, Diego Cochin that is a backup for Barcelona, very young goalkeeper, very talented goalkeeper, Roman Celentano, and Ethan Horvath. Look, listen, Matt Freese is a roster lock, and as of now, he is definitely the starter. I don't know if Matt Turner makes it because the MLS season was kind of over in the last camp and Pochettino still didn't call him up. He actually called up, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Brady and Jonathan Klinsmann. And then Zach Steffen is unreliable and very often injured. Patrick Schulte is just meh. So it's very tough to know. I thought Matt Turner would be a lock, but when I didn't see him in the November roster, it didn't really make sense, right? And the MLS season doesn't really return till February. So he might not be match, or he will be probably match sharp by March. I don't know. I'm certain that Matt Freese will be there. I am very convinced that Chris Brady from the Chicago Fire will be there. And I think the other goalkeeper will be Jonathan Klinsmann, not Matt Turner. I know many are going to say this is a snub, and in fact it is. Matt Turner was the starter for the United States in the 2022 World Cup. But I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that Matt Turner won't be there based on what I've seen Pochettino do in the last 2 camps. So that said, Matt Freese, Chris Brady, and Jonathan Klinsmann. And Jonathan Klinsmann was called in once, I believe, in September. And then he got called back in November, okay, where Matt Turner wasn't there. That's why, okay? I'm not really only using my opinion. I'm trying to use my gut feeling mixed with data. So once again, Matt Freese, Chris Brady, and Jonathan Klinsmann. Next up, we have the fullbacks. And I believe Pochettino will bring 5 fullbacks for the World Cup. And listen, under his new formation and system, the 3-4-2-1 he's been using, the fullbacks are actually wing backs, except for one of them that also can play center back. But that's why I'm going to include a name in this section of the video that you might be saying, hey, this guy's a forward. But with Pochettino's 3-4-2-1 formation, I think this guy will be a wingback. So here are the fullbacks or wingbacks that he's called up so far. Max Arfston, Alex Freeman, Joe Scally, Anthony Robinson, John Tokin, Serginho Dest, Nathan Harrio, Shaquille Moore. I guess Yunus Musa and Weah, since they would be wingbacks under the current 3-4-2-1 formation. Now, there are other few names that he did call up, a few players that are not really worth mentioning. I don't even know why I mentioned Shaq Moore and Nathan Harrio. Okay, so who will be the 5 fullbacks or wingbacks that Pochettino will bring to the World Cup? So here's my prediction, and honestly, it's pretty straightforward. Serginho Dest, if healthy, will be there. Anthony Robinson, that is back from injury from Fulham, he will be there. Max Arfston definitely will be there. Alex Freeman will 100% be there. He can also play center back in a back 3 for Pochettino. He actually played well against Uruguay. And then I think the 5th wingback will be Tim Weah. Yes, he is a wingback for Pochettino. Even though they might list him as a forward, he will be a wingback in the 3-4-2-1 formation. And you may be wondering, why not remove one of the forwards, have Tim Weah there? He's an option for the wingback, and bring Joe Scally. It doesn't feel like Pochettino rates Joe Scally. And then he finally gave Scally kind of an opportunity against Paraguay, and Scally didn't really play well last camp. So I don't think Joe Scally makes it unless one of these 5 players is injured. Now, before we continue, don't forget to drop a like in this video, and we're going to put a quick word from our sponsor, SeatGeek. We'll be back very soon. Don't go anywhere. We finally have the groups for the largest sporting event in the world. That'll happen in the United States of America in 2026. And attending these games can be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is why today we are partnering up with SeatGeek. Now, I obviously won't be able to attend the United States games because I'm going to be covering the national team, but I will most certainly try to catch a Brazil or Spain game, possibly Argentina, to hate watch. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed in the app, including concerts, sports, and festivals. And I'm sure that you have used SeatGeek before, because I have. Plus, I have a special discount for you. Get $30 off any World Cup tickets when you spend $200. Just use the code Tactical Manager. It works for new and existing users. Hit the link in the description so the code gets auto-applied. Make sure you click the link in the description and the code will automatically be added to your account so you can use it later. That is $30 off any World Cup tickets after you spend $200 with the promo code Tactical Manager. Thank you very much, SeatGeek. We're back, and now we're going to talk about the center backs. And as I mentioned, Alex Freeman, that is in the fullback section, he can also, and probably will, play as a center back as well in a back 3. So that said, not counting Alex Freeman, I believe Pochettino will bring 4 more center backs. And here are some of the center backs that he's called up so far. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, and Mark McKenzie are the 3 that have the most appearances under Mauricio Pochettino. And they're very likely, in my opinion, actually, they are 100% roster locks. Now, the other center backs that he has called in the past are Miles Robinson, Tristan Blackman, for some reason, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, that's currently injured with an Achilles injury, and he won't be back on time. He's very likely out of the World Cup. George Campbell, and Noah Kai Banks, the very young, promising center back that has been playing well in the Bundesliga. I could also mention Walker Zimmerman, but it doesn't look like he rates him, and he's also not been in his best form in Major League Soccer as well. So what's my prediction? Who are the 4 center backs? So as I have already said, Tim Ream from Charlotte FC, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, and Mark McKenzie from Toulouse are 3 locks, in my opinion. Now the 4th one, it's kind of tricky, and I'm trying to be Pochettino here. The fan in me would say and think Noah Kai Banks is the best option. Young, promising center back that's playing very well in the Bundesliga for Augsburg. Very good ball-playing defender. But based on the data we have, Miles Robinson would be the favorite. However, Alex Freeman can play the role Miles plays and do it much better. Freeman also can play as a right back. He's a right-footed center back like Miles Robinson, very athletic like Miles Robinson, just a better player. So maybe Pochettino goes with another left-footed center back, Austin Trusty, that started the last game where we beat Uruguay 5-1, played well, got an assist, and I think center back number 4 will not be Miles Robinson or Noah Kai Banks. It'll be Austin Trusty. So just to recap, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Mark McKenzie, and Austin Trusty. And you may be saying, why not Noah Kai Banks? Listen, If I was to choose, I would choose Noah Banks. Okay, I think he's also a more talented and better center back than Trusty. But I'm trying to use the data we have on Pochettino. And he called in Noah Banks once. That was the October camp. Noah Banks didn't play. Apparently he wasn't fully fit or injured, whatever. But then he was playing for Augsburg the next weekend. And then the previous camp, he didn't really call up Noah Banks, and he could have. Okay, and he called up Austin Trusty. He played. We don't have another left-footed center back besides Tim Ream that is very old. So I think he will actually bring Austin Trusty. I think that'll happen. Okay, now we have the midfielders. And understand that I separated the midfielders into two sections. One is the central midfielders, which are the ones that play in that double pivot in the 3-4-2-1 formation. The other section is the attacking midfielders / wingers. Okay, those are the attacking midfielders essentially that can also play out wide. So let's first start with the double pivot midfielders, which are usually more of the defensive-minded midfielders that we have. And these are the ones he has called up so far. Sebastian Berhalter, Tyler Adams, Tenor Tessman, Luca De La Torre, Jack McGlynn, Yunus Musa, that has been kind of gone for a while. And he also always plays wide under Pochettino. But it's kind of crazy that Musa has become almost irrelevant for the U.S. men's national team lately. He was a standout performer in 2022 when he was like 19. He was one of our best players in the World Cup. And right now, I don't think he makes the roster for 2026. Another midfielder is Weston McKennie. Even though Pochettino seems to play him more as an attacking mid, I'm going to keep Weston McKennie for the sake of this video in the double pivot section. Aiden Morris is another player, Christian Roldan, Johnny Cardoso, and then there's a bunch of other players that are not really worth mentioning, like Tim Tillman, Inelli, Kremaski. Guys that are fine, they're not terrible players, but they're just not going to make the World Cup roster. So they won't make it. But who will? And I think he's going to bring 6 midfielders, okay? And here's my prediction. Christian Roldan will be there. Tenor Tessman from Lyon will also be there. Weston McKennie from Juventus will 100% be there. Sebastian Berhalter, like it or not, I think he very likely will be there. And then we have midfielders number 5 and 6. And listen, number 5, or actually this should have been number 1, should have been Tyler Adams. And I think he will be in the World Cup. However, at the time of this recording, he just had a knee injury with Bournemouth. I don't know what the injury is when I'm recording this. It could be an MCL. It could be an ACL. If it's an ACL, he's done for the World Cup. He won't play. If it's an MCL, he could recover in time. The question is, will he recover in time and catch good form to get called in? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is this. Midfielder number 5 is Tyler Adams, assuming his knee injury is not that bad and that he's back at the latest around March. In the last spot, midfielder number 6 is mainly between Aiden Morris and Johnny Cardoso. Maybe Jack McGlynn, but I would assume Aiden Morris and Johnny Cardoso are ahead. So Aiden is currently injured, and he'll be back soon, probably this month in December. And Johnny is consistently dealing with injuries this season with Atletico Madrid. Aiden Morris has been more available, while Johnny Cardoso is clearly the more talented option. Aiden Morris is the front runner because he has played better for the national team than Johnny Cardoso. Okay, Johnny would have to actually play well for Atletico, get called in March for the United States, and perform well for the national team, or at least do decent to get that World Cup call-up. Now, if Tyler Adams' knee injury is worse than expected, and for some reason he misses the World Cup, hopefully not, then I think it'll be Aiden Morris and Johnny. But my midfielder number 6 is Aiden Morris that I think Pochettino will bring. So just to recap, Christian Roldan, Tenor Tessman, Sebastian Berhalter, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams if he's healthy, and then you have Aiden Morris. The next in line should be Johnny Cardoso, and right after that, I'm going to assume it's Jack McGlynn. Okay, now the attacking midfielders that can also play as wingers. Because remember, when you play a 3-4-2-1 formation, the midfielders are kind of, the attackers are kind of tucked inside, and the wingbacks provide the width. Okay, that's how we've been playing. So let's talk about the 5 attacking midfielders that I believe Pochettino will bring to the 2026 World Cup. And here are the attacking mid wingers that he's called up so far. Christian Pulisic, Diego Luna, he loves Diego Luna a little bit too much, Malik Tillman, Gio Reyna, Brendan Aronson, and Alejandro Zendejas. That's pretty much all of the relevant ones. After that, you can get talented players like Brian Gutierrez, I don't know, maybe a Paxton Aronson. But I don't think they really have a realistic shot of getting called in. So who will get called in? And listen, there are 3 locks out of these 5. Christian Pulisic from Milan, Malik Tillman from Leverkusen, and Gio Reyna from Borussia not Dortmund. They're all locks, these 3, which leaves us with 2 more spots. And number 4 to me will be Diego Luna. He's probably a roster lock under Pochettino, even though he very likely shouldn't be. And then the last spot, number 5, it's between Alejandro Zendejas and Brenden Aaronson. I think Aaronson has the edge here. He's more versatile and useful in specific situations that we might need him during the World Cup. Plus, McKennie can also play this position and be a facilitator as an attacking mid, which would be what Zendejas would be, right? Zendejas is less about doing the dirty work. He's more about getting you goals and assists. Brenden Aaronson will do the dirty work. I don't think Zendejas would see the field if we played in the World Cup, even though he did play well that camp against South Korea and Japan. So I believe since he has Weston McKennie as an option there as well, we have Christian Pulisic, we have Tillman, we have Gio Reyna, he would rather bring Brenden Aaronson. That is a different type of player, different player profile, and that could be useful in specific situations. So the 5 attacking mids/wingers, I believe they're going to be Christian Pulisic, Malik Tillman, Gio Reyna, Diego Luna, and Brenden Aaronson. Last but not least, we have the center forward position, the 9. And I believe Pochettino will bring 3 center forwards for the 2026 World Cup. And here are some of the center forwards that he has called up so far, or pretty much all of them, right? He's called up Ajiman, that plays for Derby County, Balogun from Monaco, our best center forward, Ricardo Pepi from PSV, Josh Sargent from Norwich, Haji Wright from Coventry, and Brian White from Vancouver. Funny enough, Ajiman is the top goal scorer of the Pochettino era with 5 goals in 12 games, 2 of them being in Camp Cupcake. Haji Wright, Balogun, and Pepi all have 3 goals each. Haji in 7 games, Balogun in 6 games, and Pepi in 4 games total. Sargent just sucked every time he played for the national team lately, and mainly in the Pochettino era, and even a little bit before that. And Brian White, I don't know why he's here. I'm sorry. He's a very good MLS center forward, probably the best American MLS center forward right now, but that's about it. And the picks here are pretty easy. It's going to be Balogun, Pepi, and Haji Wright if they're fully fit. After that, it's between Ajiman and Sargent, with I think Ajiman has the edge here when it comes to Pochettino. Very easy, very straightforward. Balogun, Pepi, and Haji Wright. There's no doubt in my mind if those 3 are healthy, they'll be in the World Cup. Okay, before we go, if you made it this far, I have a question for you. This was a 26-man roster. If you could add 4 players, okay, let's say it becomes a 30-man roster. You can add 4 players. Who would you add? Would you add a Joe Scally, which could possibly help the team? Would you add another veteran for experience? Would you just bring young prospects like I talked about earlier in the video, like a Diego Cochin to gain experience, Kevin Sullivan, Matthews Albert? What would you do? Bring Noah Kai Banks, which he's a young prospect, but he could also be useful. Let me know in the comment section down below the 4 players you would bring in this roster if it's expanded to a 30-man roster. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.